shelf him the remainder of the year. This is awkward, and it isn't ever going to not be awkward until it ends. Like a couple who are getting a divorce, but they still live together. How's that going to go? Hey, did you have a good day at work? You want to get a bite to eat? No, I don't want to eat with you. Go eat somewhere else where I don't have to listen to you chew. You sicken me. I don't know if it's that bad, but it's not good. Brian Winhorst joins us now off the marital discord analogy. How do things go from here with Davis in New Orleans?
Scott, who hurt you?
Nobody. I'm good.
Okay, good. Okay, look, let's just be honest here. Nobody is happy with this arrangement that exists. The Pelicans are not happy. Anthony Davis is not happy. The NBA is not happy. Adam Silver made that clear over the weekend. So now there's been a regime change with Danny Ferry coming in as the interim general manager, and there's been discussions over the last few days of how to alter the situation that can be satisfactory to the all parties, or at least get them out of this zone where everybody is uncomfortable. Does that mean that Anthony Davis has played his last game? Does that mean he will take a period away? Does that mean the NBA will relax its threat to fine the Pelicans if they don't play him? I think we're going to find out in the next 24 to 48 hours. But I do not think the situation that was uncomfortable last week going into the break will continue going forward.
This just goes back to something that Russillo and I were talking about, that he talked about on his podcast with Simmons, about how everybody's unhappy. Kyrie Irving's unhappy because he and Kevin Durant talked at the All-Star game and they spent time in Miami. They're friends. They're allowed to do that. But this is how things are going to inevitably be consumed. How is Kyrie going to deal with his level of discomfort with people questioning him?
Yeah, what Kyrie said today, which was, I can't have a conversation with a friend of mine and not have it dissected, is 100% true. I'm going to go to a bar tonight in L.A., and I'm going to sit with a friend of mine, and I don't want it necessarily to be broadcast on Twitter. That said, this is not a vacuum. Kyrie sells Nikes. Kyrie sells Pepsi. Kyrie wants you to go see his movies. It's an $8 billion business with millions of fans who care about what they do, and he didn't say anything in his rant today that shut down the possibility that he's going to play with Kevin Durant. He got angry at the question, but he did not shut it down. And as long as he's going to live in this world where he leaves the door open, there are people that are going to want to walk through it.
This is all true. LeBron and the Lakers, LeBron's in a comfortable spot. He got to where he wanted to be, but he's not in the spot he wants to be in terms of the playoff picture. He says he loves being counted out. But what's the reality of the challenge that his team faces in the second half as they're basically like 50-50 proposition in Vegas to make the playoffs?
Yeah, the reality is LeBron's new reaching the finals is now making the playoffs, or maybe I would say getting to the 7th seed, because that's where the Lakers have, and really what they need to try to go for. From this day forward, the Lakers' every game is going to be kind of like a playoff game. That's not something LeBron has dealt with before. He embraces it. He can say people have counted him out, but the reality is he is going to be judged differently and more harshly criticized for regular season games than he has in a very long time. He gets it. He understands it. He made it very clear today that he embraces it. Let's see it on the court, because he has been good since his injury he returned from his injury, but he has not been great. The Lakers need great LeBron starting tomorrow against the Rockets.
You're going to a speakeasy tonight? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm going to go watch some basketball.
In a bar with a friend.
With Tim McMahon.
Oh, okay.
ESPN cohort.
All right, there you go. Well, you can Periscope it, live tweet it, whatever. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be as dissected the way Kyrie and KD, but it's
Our clothes are not as nice.
Your check's not going to be as big either, probably, but that's all right. You can cover it. You got the big dollars, my man. Hey, I appreciate the time, Brian. Good to talk. We'll visit again soon. Chasing down.
He blocked that with his elbow.
Terry Rozier, he did. Arslan Ilyasova the other way for the easy slam. Third quarter game tied. Chris Middleton, guy has turned himself into an all-star.
Whoa!
I don't know what that was, but it worked because you just throw it to Giannis. Bucks take the lead. New guy, Nikola Mirotic. This is fun. I'll just stand out here and let you throw me the ball, and I can do what I do. Bucks leading by 4 headed to the 4th. It's a good ball game. Two good teams. 5-point lead for the Bucks off the miss. Woo-woo! Jason Tatum, he thinks he's got a dunk. Antetokounmpo chased him down. It took him 5 steps to get from half court to the rim and get the block. Insane. Good ball movement, Tatum. Gathers. Celtics within 2. Kyrie. We talk so much about his handle. Even when it looks like it's going to go wrong, he still is able to gather and score on an acrobatic layup. Ensuing Bucks possession, Eric Bledsoe. You've heard Legs talk about how he's been playing so well this year. That puts the Bucks back in front. Kyrie, Al Horford, three-point deficit, tie game. 37 seconds left. Middleton, can't let him have that one. Eye hole. He has 15 and 13, Bucks up 3. 10 seconds left. Wild sequence here. Giannis has it. Marcus Smart, and this guy is a rugged on-ball defender. Ties him up. You see 0.2 on the shot clock, so that means we're going to have a shot clock violation. So even though it looked like a clever play to tip it to Lopez to try to knock it in, that's a violation. Ball goes to Boston. They mugged Smart, who was trying to go back door. No, it wasn't Smart, it was Morris, I beg your pardon. They mugged Morris, who was trying to go back door. They didn't call it. Kyrie with the miss. Giannis 30, 13, and 6 in the win for Milwaukee.
Kyrie, did you feel like you got fouled in that play?
I ain't no. I love my money.
They let him play on that last inbound. I'll just put it that way. Across the board, if I'm Boston, I'm not thrilled about the way that game ended. Tim Legler alongside. Best record, you've said they're a threat. What makes Milwaukee a threat to the East and potentially the whole thing?
I think they're the only team right now in the Eastern Conference that doesn't have any holes or major questions about them. Wire to wire, they've been the most consistent team, and they do it on both ends of the floor. They've got a great chemistry between their star, who is not only obviously an elite talent that affects the game every way imaginable, they've also got a great role player definition on this team.
Everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
And they do it really well. They're super comfortable doing it. I was talking about Middleton with somebody earlier tonight. I'm saying this is a rare guy because he doesn't mind living in that really long shadow that Giannis cast and still getting 20 every night. Doesn't need to be the primary option. They don't run a bunch of stuff for him. Everything he gets is in the flow, but pencil in 20 every night, and that's critical if you want to win a title. You've got to have that. You can't have a bunch of guys you're not exactly sure where it's coming from. He gives you that 20, and then the rest of those guys fill a role. Bledsoe's playing great. Lopez, three-point shooter. They add Mirotic. I like the energy guys off the bench. But look, let's be serious. It starts with Giannis. He's one of the most unique players that I've ever seen in this league, Scott, with that length, handle, and then strength. We've seen a guy tall that can handle like Durant and shoot it.
Sure.
Nobody with the kind of power that he has with that kind of stride and handle at the same time. You virtually cannot keep him out of the paint.
You talk about flow of the game. I agree and I love it. And Giannis is able to do so many different things that impact the game. Here's my biggest question with them. It's a playoff series. It's late. You need a bucket, right? I love the way what they get in a flow. I'm talking about you got to run a play for a guy. What do you do?
Yeah, you're going to put the ball in his hands, and you're going to count on the fact that you can't really play him the way you would think, and you could play a non-shooter, give him space, because he comes at you with the head of steam, with the stride and the Euro. He's at the rim anyway. Right. And now you overcommit, and that's where the three-point shooting comes in. Now, look, we'd all love to see him step up and knock a 20-footer down if he has to in that situation. I think that's what you're asking me, and it's still not quite there for him. I get it. But he is so unique in his ability to get there anyway, regardless of how he's played and how many guys he brings. He's a magnet. That's where these role players come up big. Incredibly well coached. He's a great teammate, too. When guys love their leader, it's amazing what you can do and you can accomplish. And this team right now is legit, man. Best record in the NBA. Give him credit.
Windhorst, he coached a 60-win team in Atlanta. They didn't have Giannis. So, I mean, I believe what
Haven't lost back-to-back games all year.
Yeah, and we're coming up to March. All right.
Second game of the season, you may remember this, against the Rockets. Rondo, Ingram, and Chris Paul all suspended without pay for a bit of a dust-up that occurred in the fourth quarter. And then the Lakers, well, they peaked 7 games above 500, most recently back in December against the Hornets. LeBron and Lonzo each recorded a triple-double in that game to become the 8th pair of teammates to ever do that. But on Christmas Day, the Lakers blew out the Warriors. That's great. However, LeBron went down in an injury. He missed 18 games. The Lakers plummeted in the West as a result, and now going from 4th out of the playoff picture. That was the biggest of the Lakers' injury concerns. Lonzo Ball, Rajon Rondo also missed some games, 44 combined. And James basically didn't really get to play much with those two guys. All in all, the Lakers found themselves below 500 entering the All-Star break. That's the first time that's happened to LeBron or a LeBron team since his rookie season. So they will need every bit of help from him. LeBron, what do you say on this?
It's been quite a while for me that I've been under 500 going into the All-Star break. I don't remember the last time. So, you know, my level of intensity has to be, unfortunately for me, because I don't like to do it at such an early time. I'm a little bit different, but it's been activated, so look forward to seeing what we can do.
All right, so Stephen A. Smith and Om Young-Masuk, who covers the Lakers here in Los Angeles, are joining me now on Coast to Coast. We're talking about the state of the Lakers, if you will. LeBron is activating early. There's much talk about him being in the playoffs if he doesn't make the playoffs. Stephen A., first off, if LeBron doesn't make the playoffs, is there a fallout for him and this Lakers team after that?
No, I think the fallout is that Luke Walton will lose his job. A matter of fact, I'm damn near to the point where I think it's a foregone conclusion. He's in a world of trouble. They've got to produce over these last 25 games. They've got to make the playoffs. And then after that, they've got to make a relatively decent showing in the playoffs. Otherwise, there will be a new head coach in Los Angeles for the Lakers next season. You can book it. It's that serious. So I wish him nothing but luck because I think he's a good coach. I think he's got a lot of promise and what have you. But they've got to play better. They're 30th in the league when you're talking about three-point shooting percentage. You just look at some of the things. Don't get me started with their free throw shooting and where that ranks. I mean, LeBron James ain't even at 68%. Brandon Ingram is about at 66%. Lonzo Ball's at 41% from the free throw line. You've got guys like JaVale McGee and Tyson Chandler in the 60 percentile. So you're struggling from three-point shooting. You're struggling from the free throw line. You got a guy who's the best player in the world and your superstar, but he's in his 16th NBA season. Your number two guy is a guy by the name of Kyle Kuzma who can play and has a lot of promise, but you were expecting more things from Brandon Ingram. You ain't getting it. And so when you look at all of those things right now, it definitely is one of those situations where I don't think LeBron is going to suffer because anybody with two eyes sees what they're lacking. The issue for LeBron James is going to be this summer. You've got Magic, L.A., Southern California, sunshine, palm trees, and everything in between. You're the best player in the world, and you can't get one of these free agents with the bevy of them that are going to be available to come and play with you. That is going to be a problem if that happens. But nothing affects LeBron until this summer.
Yeah, I don't think if they don't make the playoffs, it's some sort of indictment on LeBron James at all. I do think this summer is huge for LeBron and Magic Johnson. And I don't even think if the Lakers don't make the playoffs, it doesn't affect what they do in free agency. They're still going to go after their stars, and I don't think it's going to deter stars from coming. Stephen A. is right. If the Lakers do not make the playoffs, Luke Walton and this coaching staff is likely probably gone.
But that's a foregone conclusion, is it not?
And I think the coaching staff understands what they probably have to make it to the second round or deeper
to keep his job,
to make a run. And listen, if the Lakers do somehow find their way in, not in the 8th spot, but in the 7th spot and somehow get Denver or Oklahoma City, I think they're going to be relaxed, relieved, and then they could probably make an unexpected run. But in order to get to the playoffs, they might have to go 18-7 down the stretch. And we've seen the Lakers blow games to the Knicks, the Hawks, horrible lottery teams. They have given themselves no room for error down the stretch.
Prior to the All-Star game, that was a huge indictment against Luke Walton. They've lost 4 of their last 5 and 5 of their last 7. The 2 victories that they had was overtime against the Clippers and a buzzer beater against Boston by Rondo. 5 games they lost. They were blown out by 42 at Indiana. They were blown out, ran out of the building by the Sixers as well. People looked at that. LeBron looked at that. You look at Luke Walton. We know what he did as an assistant in Golden State when he filled in for Steve Kerr when Steve Kerr was out because of health issues. He was phenomenal. That got him the Lakers job. A matter of fact, I'm here to tell you, when Magic took over, if Luke Walton, he had decided at that moment, I want to go in a different direction, Luke Walton would have had the job the next day because the Charlotte Hornets would have hired him.
Right.
Michael Jordan and Mitch Kupchak, they would have hired him in a heartbeat. Luke Walton would have been their coach, all right? But he stayed here. Now you have a situation where you have a great player like LeBron James, along with his camp and others, speculating about what kind of muscle he has as a coach. And he is not Magic Johnson's hire. So Magic Johnson is not going to upset the apple cart per se by getting rid of Luke Walton. But if Luke Walton does not make the playoffs, he is gone. I am guaranteeing you. On national television, he will not be the head coach of the Lakers.
Even if they do make the playoffs.
But if they make the playoffs and he puts forth a good showing, Kerry, then you got to consider. You got to give him consideration for that. You can't just sit up there and say, "Oh, he's going no matter what." That's not true. But if he doesn't make the playoffs, you can bet the house. There's going to be a new coach next year for the Lakers.
But to be fair to him, he hasn't had a full roster.
He hasn't. It's not his fault.
And every time somebody comes back, somebody's out.
Absolutely.
And listen, when they get Lonzo Ball back, and I texted with somebody from Lonzo's camp who said that there's no timetable for his return yet. He's still aggressively rehabbing. Once he comes back, there's going to be an adjustment period. And they don't have any time to adjust now.
I'll go a step further home. Luke Walton, in most NBA circles, we all know Luke Walton's getting a bad rap. Because if you look at this roster,
sure.
I mean that's a lot. I mean that's a lot to ask. He can't make shots for you now. I mean we've seen. I mean the Lakers at times have resembled construction workers, bricklaying going all over the place. So we can't sit up there and look at Luke. We can't look at Luke Walton and blame him. But Magic Johnson did talk to him early in the season. He is not satisfied.